FM94, The Dark. It is that time again. It's time to get to know a band we play here on The Dark. And tonight on the phone, I have Cody from the band ZamTrip. And ZamTrip actually has been spinning on our airwaves a lot lately with their latest song called Miles Away. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first of all, Cody, thanks so much for joining me on The Dark tonight. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, let's talk about this band, ZamTrip, and I know, obviously, you got some brothers, I believe, that are also in this band. Am I correct on that? Give us the history of the band, ZamTrip, and how it all came about.
So my two brothers, Corey and Kyle, are also in the band. Corey plays drums and Kyle plays guitar. And how that started was Kyle got a guitar when he was a little bit younger, and Corey wanted to do music too, so he got a guitar, but he sucked at it. So he decided to get a drum set instead, and then I ended up getting the bass because that was about all that was left because I didn't want to do keyboards. And then we just kind of started playing.
And that was the start of it. And obviously, you didn't have a singer though at the time, did you? Then I suppose if you guys had your instruments, but did one of you guys sing for a while, or how did this all happen? I guess.
Well, we actually had 6 different singers before Samantha. First, our cousin actually he sang a little bit, so he started singing for us, and then we got a couple other singers, but they didn't really want to do it full time. So we were looking, and we asked a family friend, and she said, well, I may know a girl who can sing, and that was Sam, and she came over and tried out and been together since.
Well, that's very cool. What was it like growing up, I guess, in your house? Obviously, your parents must have had some musical influence on you, or was there not influence of music with your parents?
Well, we listened to a lot of Motley Crue and 80s music from our parents, and they never played any instruments, and so they thought it was pretty cool, so they always let us play whenever we wanted, even if it was 2 or 3 in the morning. They didn't care, so we just went down in the basement and turned our amps up and started jamming. But yeah, we got a lot of influences from our parents for musically, because we heard AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, Motley Crue, Rat, all those huge bands that we might not know today. So we definitely got our influences from them.
That's cool. And I know a lot of times it's your parents that are kind of the ones that influence you on at least music taste. So yeah, obviously they had some good taste in music, and you didn't mind what they were listening to because you're rocking out now today, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. No, we didn't mind it at all.
Absolutely. Hey, what's it like? You guys are from Wyoming, and, you don't, when you think of rock music, you don't think a lot about Wyoming bringing a lot of rockers out, even though I know there are some rock bands out there in Wyoming that are starting to get a little bit bigger. But what is the scene in Wyoming for rock?
There is no scene for Wyoming in rock.
Oh, geez. Okay.
There's probably only 4 actual music venues in the whole state.
Okay.
And mostly they like country. There's a couple that we've played that are starting to get into more rock, which is good. But mostly out here, bands just have to rent a theater, or they rent out a building for a day, and then they have to supply it with alcohol or beer or whatever they do. If they do have that there, they have to rent it out and then pay bands to come in and hopefully make money on the show.
Right. So they don't. You're telling me rodeos don't have rock bands there? Would that scare the bulls away or something?
Rodeos only have country bands or DJs.
Okay. I'm in my upbringing. I know I went to Cody, Wyoming. Is that one of the capitals of rodeo? I think. Am I correct on that? There's a lot of rodeos there, isn't there? Yeah. So
Cody and Cheyenne are the top 2, I think.
Okay. So unfortunately, if you're a rock band, you're probably not playing at a rodeo.
No.
At least not yet.
hopefully they'll start adding some rock in there, but it's kind of weird too because usually when you go to a rodeo, before everyone comes out riding the bulls and stuff, they're listening to Kickstart My Heart and AC/DC and stuff like that. But then it's only country music for the after parties or DJs.
And of course,
hopefully they would get some rock bands soon.
I was going to say, and rodeos, they draw a lot of people, so you'd have a good audience, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah,
big time audience.
Yeah, there's thousands of people that go to each rodeo in Wyoming.
Yeah, I know it's a huge thing out there. We're talking with Cody from the band ZamTrip, and let's talk about the name. I'm assuming it has something to do with your last name is why you chose this name, but give us the reason why you call yourselves ZamTrip.
Yeah, it's actually because our last name is Zampedri, and there's 3 of us. So we actually didn't have a band name when we first started. We went to our optometrist, and he's a big fan of ours, and he just said, "You guys have a band name yet?" And we said no, and he just wrote it down on a sticky note and said, "Well, there's your new band name." So we're just kind of like, "All right, whatever, that works." And yeah, he wrote ZamTrip because 3 brothers is triple, and then Zampedri is our last name, and that's where the Zam comes from.
Very cool. That's all right. It doesn't have to be anything exciting of a story, but that's how the name all came about. And then, of course, you added Sam or Samantha to your lineup. What's it like having a lead singer be a female on your band? Obviously, when you first started and you said you had other singers, did you ever have a female singer, or is this the first female singer that you've had front your band?
Sam was actually the first female singer we had front our band. We didn't really, I guess with the type of style we were wanting to start writing in, it wasn't for girls. And actually our song Backseat Love Song we had written beforehand, and then we had to change it so she could sing it and it makes sense for. And we actually, I think that's one of the main reasons we've gotten known for what we have is because of Sam's voice, because there's a lot of bands that are heavier that have the male singers, but when you hear a female come in with the heavier music, it definitely catches your attention.
Yeah. It has been a trend here, I would say, in the last maybe 5 to 7 years that we have seen a lot of bands female fronted, and there's nothing wrong with that, and there's definitely they're getting at least their name out there, and that sometimes though it almost becomes kind of muddled a little bit. But listening to Sam's voice, and especially on the latest track here, Miles Away, I think she sets herself apart from other female fronted artists. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. Sam, I've actually talked with her before about her style, and she says she doesn't like vibrato that much. So she, her cleans, I guess,
right,
would be what sets her apart. She has a really high range, and I think honestly it kind of sounds like her style is kind of like Lizzie Hale.
Yeah.
From Hailstorm. And I think that's why a lot of people, it catches their attention, because there's a lot of female fronted bands out that, like, they scream and stuff, which I love too, but yeah, we have a harder and softer style, I would say, but yeah, Sam's vocals are definitely what sets us apart, I think.
What's it like being in a band with your brothers? Obviously on the road. I don't know if you guys do a lot of touring in that, but, is it just kind of like it was back in the day when you were growing up as kids?
Yes and no. We get in a lot more fights now.
I suppose.
We're a lot bigger, so when we get in our fights, it's definitely Sam's the mediator for all that stuff, but. Yeah, it's pretty cool because we all have the same influences. So I think writing it meshes really well.
Well, the next time we do an interview with you guys, I'll have to get Sam on so I can get her side of things, hanging out with you guys as 3 brothers, because I think that would be pretty tough for her or a lead singer to have to deal with 3 brothers at once.
Oh, yeah, she definitely sticks to her guns whenever there is an argument. it's kind of cool though because she ends up being right most of the time, which we don't like to admit. But
yeah, well,
yeah.
The ladies are always right, right?
Oh yeah.
They have to be, Cody. We're talking with Cody from the band ZamTrip. Hey, let's talk about your song "Miles Away." And actually, the first song that I heard from you guys was called "So Long," which we heard last year. And we did spin a little bit on these airwaves. But Miles Away, I think, is really a great song for you, and I think has an opportunity to go far. What have you heard out there right now about your latest song, Miles Away, in the rock industry?
We've heard nothing but good about Miles Away. We actually didn't know how people would take it because I guess it's more of a poppier
it is poppy,
song for us at least. And we thought some people would be upset if or when they heard it because it is a little different. But we've heard nothing but good about it. Everyone we've talked to at least says it's their favorite song we have. So it's doing really good. We're really proud of it.
I would be one that would say that too. I would completely agree, at least with the library that I've heard from you. I think by far that's the best. And yeah, it does have more of a pop edge to it, but I think there's nothing wrong with that because, I'll be honest with you, today in the rock world, there is a couple of things that the metal has become a big thing. So you're hearing a lot of that. And then you're also hearing a lot of the same similar sound. If it might be like a Shine Down Breaking Benjamin kind of 3 Days Grace sound, which, after a while, it's like, all right, that sounds like an imitation. This doesn't sound like imitation of anything, and I think that's a great thing for you guys.
Well, thank you.
So I'm hoping that we hear some more cool stuff like that from you guys in the future, too. And let's talk about this song a little bit more, Miles Away. What's the meaning behind this song? How did this song all come about? Who did the writing on this?
Well, actually, all of us did the writing on it, and we do a lot of work with our veterans in our area. We do concerts for them, and we just wanted to do a tribute to the veterans, I would say, and they've told us that it really hit home with them, and just about being away from your families and missing them every day, whether they're in the military or just gone for a long time. It connects with everybody a different way.
Well, I can see why people around here in our area are liking it because we actually have a military base that's just 5 miles from here, so we have a lot of veterans out there, past and present. So I can see why that is getting good response around here then, if that's the meaning of the song.
Yeah, it's we've gotten a lot of good responses from it, and it hits home for a lot of people, which is really cool.
This is not an easy industry to be in the music profession, especially in the rock side of things. Who's been out there to help you guys out grow and maybe get your name out there a little bit more?
Well, 2 bands for sure, Royal Bliss and Wayland. They are some of our best friends.
Yep.
And they've helped us a lot. They've given us advice about the bad parts of the music industry, which there aren't many, but when you're dealing with a bunch of different people, you just need to keep your eyes open, and they're always there if we ever have anything we need questions on or that we have questions on. We give them a call, and we've done a lot of shows with both of them around the country, and they've helped us quite a bit.
That's awesome. Yeah, Neil and Phil, they're great guys, at least from each band. Yeah, they're a lot. We've had a chance to talk to them on these airwaves too, and they're hardworking. They're both hardworking bands, and unfortunately, in today's world, you got to be hardworking to survive. Because if you don't, you're not going to, aren't you?
Yep, that's exactly it. And we're working on touring quite a bit more, and we've been asking them about like touring, what's the best way to do it even, and there's a certain way that you should book everything, and they've helped us with all that. So I really appreciate both of those bands.
Absolutely. And that you just led into my next question, the touring side of things. Have you done much touring, and what are your future plans for some touring?
We started touring past couple years. We've mostly been doing like 2-week runs maybe twice a year. Just we've been from the Pacific Northwest all the way over to Kentucky, over in that area in the Midwest. But we're planning on touring heavily this coming year. We're planning our first one's probably going to be 6 weeks or so, and then we're just going to keep hitting as many places as we can.
Of course, you mentioned Waylon and also Royal Bliss. You'd probably love to tour with those guys at some point. But let me ask this question. If you had to put together an ultimate tour, so Cody, think about who you'd love to go out on tour. I know, like I said, Waylon and Royal Bliss would be great guys to go out with, but who would be a great maybe couple of bands that you would love to go out with on tour?
I know one for sure. Okay, I'm going to say Red Sun Rising in 10 years, because we played with both of those bands, and all the members of both of those bands are amazing, and they both watched our set when we opened for them, and they both made sure they came up to us and to tell us what they loved about our set and what they loved about our music. And you don't see that much anymore with the bigger acts. Right. And so I would love to tour with those two bands.
I've met 10 years. They're great. I've never met Red Sun Rising, but boy, they're a story that came out of Akron, Ohio. There, I think they kind of blew up on the Rock on the Range in Columbus, Ohio, a few years ago, and then a couple of their songs became #1 hits, and now they're taking over the airwaves, aren't they?
Oh yeah, yep, they're killing it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's great that you have some connections that way, too, in the industry, because that is huge. I mean, you need to get as much connection as you can possible and get that help, because without those bands, and I'm not saying that you're necessarily a baby band, but you're a young band that always needs help, don't you?
Yep. Hey, working together in the music industry definitely helps a lot.
You know, let's talk about, obviously you got the song Miles Away out there. How about albums and stuff like that? Are you guys looking at doing some new albums and that? What's on the horizon here in 2019 for ZamTrip?
Yeah, actually, we just got back a couple weeks ago from Vegas. We were working with the producer or the engineer, I should say, for War is the Answer from Five Finger Death Punch. And we are working on a new album there right now, and we're going to be going back probably at the end of the year. It's going to be a 7-song album, so it's not a full length, but it's a good one, a good length, and hopefully that'll be out sometime in the beginning of next year.
Awesome, and we can definitely see that coming out. And I guess before we get going here, Cody, we should ask, how can people find out more information about the band ZamTrip? I'm assuming you're on probably all the social medias and everything else, but I'll let you do that talking.
Yep, we're on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then you can also visit our website at ZamTripRocks.com. And we're on all of the music platforms too, iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, so everywhere you can find us.
Have you been to Minnesota before?
We have. We played in Rochester a couple of years ago.
Oh, you did? Okay, very cool. So,
yep.
you know Minnesota. So you'd be willing to come back in the future again?
I would love to play Minnesota again.
Absolutely.
We always drive right through it, but we never end up stopping and playing.
And that's true. There are some great venues here, but sometimes it's difficult to get those venues to get rock acts to come play here. I get it. I mean, it's like you get it over in Fargo, North Dakota, they'll play in Wisconsin, but when it comes to Minnesota, a lot of times there's not many here that stop. So hopefully we can get you guys to stop here sometime.
Yeah, we'd love to come through.
Well, we'll try to make that happen in 2019, okay?
Awesome, thank you.
Hey, Cody, we're going to let you go right now, but we're going to play your latest song, Miles Away. Once again, thanks so much for joining me here on The Dark, and good luck to you guys the rest of the year in 2019.
Thank you, and thanks for having us.
Once again, that is Cody from the band ZamTrip. Their latest song is called Miles Away. You're hearing it right now. It's on the Dark. It's on FM94.